Ross, your immediate reaction after the win?
Yeah, relief. Great to get 4 points, really. So, yeah, relieved.
Did you feel like you got out of jail a little bit?
I don't know what that term means. I think at the end we adjusted our game plan, got him into a contest. I thought really we dominated the last quarter. I think 14 entries, 4-3 or whatever it was. So the ability for the players to hear the message and adapt was really strong. Obviously I thought a positive start, but they walked out of the middle, kicked 6 goals for the night. I mean, it just shouldn't happen, but it did. So that's half their score, I think. So some terrible turnovers in our D50. They hardly scored off turnover except in their forward 50. I think they kicked 3-2 from 5 turnovers. So, you turn over in your D50, it's about 90% chance you're going to get scored against. So that hasn't been our trademark, but it's crept in the last 3 weeks. So we'll modify our ball use. All credit to them with their pressure, but I just thought over finessing and mucking around down there sort of hurt us. Centre bounces hurt us. That were the main things. I thought Judd was terrific early, great leader, great player. So our ability to handle him early wasn't great. Ryan Crowley, I thought did a pretty good job on Murphy, copped a fair bit of attention obviously, but he always soldiers on, so that was good. But in the end we turned it around. So, look, I think I need to acknowledge Matthew Pavlich concussed, and then early, I think it was Q1, was it? Second term early, and then Mzungu off. So we're down to 20 men on the biggest ground in Australia against a team that was running well. So, and coming off the bye, so there was some really good effort to dig in. We found a way, but clearly we've got plenty of work to do. We need to improve. That footy's going to take us nowhere. So.
What's the initial prognosis on Mzungu and how hard was it with just the 2 rotations?
Well, I think I alluded to how hard it was. Secondly, it's a really low-grade strain, hamstring. We put him on at the end just to pinch a minute breather for one of our forwards that had been on for a long time. So that's why we did that. So, yeah, look, he'll be fine. Hopefully Matthew will come up, but concussions are serious, obviously, so his health is paramount. And then from there we're healthy.
Let's just cop 2 head knocks now within the space of 12 days. Does that have to take a more cautious approach now with that?
Has he? What was the other one? Was he concussed? Hey?
So 2 heavy head knocks within the space of 12 days.
Dr. Chadwick. Okay. Yeah, I thought he was okay against, if he was unwell or, I think, Dempster ran into him or something, didn't he? Yeah, but if they're concussed or you're not. So, but I think to reiterate, we wouldn't take no risks with, not only Matthew, we would take no risks with Hayden Crozier, Tom Sheridan. We've got strict protocols in place, the AFL has, so it isn't an emotive issue, should he or shouldn't he play. He'll either be healthy to play or he won't be. So, and I never get involved, so it's really, I'm like you guys just sitting in the theatre waiting for the outcome. But obviously we would like him to play if he could.
How did you make the adjustments with your forward structure given Matthew went down?
Yeah, I thought that was fine, I think Fife and Mundy spent a bit of time forward. You sort of make do, There's no... Mayne just played a bit deeper. I thought he looked really good a bit deeper. Just highlights the point why he hasn't kicked as many goals. So, look, we might have to play him a bit deeper. I thought he helped drag us across the line in the last quarter. He was pretty good.
Any concern that he took sort of Fife and Valentine and a couple of guys in good form this year to stand up and one school?
No, that's what they're paid to do, to be frank. You expect your good players and leaders to stand up, and those guys did that, If someone doesn't stand up, and I thought after half-time, Hill, Pearce and Neil, doubled or tripled their possessions and lifted. So there was plenty of stories. I thought McFarlane, confidence in his body, and some good players. I don't think we got the rub of the green in some areas tonight. There's some, I don't think much went in our favour in our forward 50 and a bit went in their favour in theirs, but that's been happening for a while now, so we sort of get used to it. But, but again, I thought when the game was up for grabs, I think all credit to Carlton. They got some of their very best players out. Walker, Robinson, Everett's been good for them. They come over. Their top flight players are very, very good though. Murphy, Judd, Gibbs, those guys are very, very good players. So if they get Yaron, Simpson, Waite, Henderson, they're they've got and young Graham's a beauty, so and Tui can play, so they got a bit that can really play, and they got going a little bit tonight. So look, they'll go home disappointed, but I'm not here to worry about Carlton. We've all lost close ones. At the end, we did a lot right to get across the line, and we'll focus on that, and then review the early stuff. And our model is to identify it and train it. So clearly, the last 2 weeks haven't been great footy, pre or post the break. So we've got some work to do.
You mentioned that type of footy isn't going to get you anywhere. Can you just expand on that and the aspects that you're looking to improve in particular?
Look, I don't think I want to go into too much detail. I think it's pretty obvious. Centre bounces, ball movement out of defence. Just general accountability.
Yeah, has the pressure dropped off in the past 2 weeks? Is that how
No, I think we had lots of tackles. Tackles aren't an indicator of pressure, though. A lot of people think they are, but we're generally not a really high tackling team. I think we've sat 10th for tackles for the year. So, sometimes just thinking a bit quicker. It can be as simple as that sometimes. If you ball watch, it's too late. Do you know what I mean? So.
You mentioned predictability at centre bounces before. You've had 52 more hit-outs tonight, and talking about Carlton being able to walk out of the centre square. How do you make the adjustment on those numbers moving
Well, it's not my job. We get to the coaching panel. Well, it is ultimately, isn't it? Because we're talking about it. Look, we've been very good over the course of the year, but it's a long year. You're going to have some bad nights, and you've got to try and minimise the damage. I don't think we minimised the damage that well, and our defenders needed to defend a little bit better. It's not, you can't sheet it all home to inside the square. There's a fair bit from them getting the ball to kicking the goal that's got to happen, and we were sloppy, so, yeah.
You said you've had a bad night, and obviously you play your best footy against St Kilda. Can you turn it around quickly coming up against a pretty good side next week?
Well, that's the aim. That's the aim. And everyone ebbs and flows. We're certainly looking forward to the challenge, and I thought the players showed enormous fight at the end. It would have been easy to lay down and go, well, here we go again. But at the end of the day, we won the game. We get an 8-day break. We get to prepare really well. It's always difficult coming off. But I don't think you can underestimate losing 2 players early in the second quarter. It's not ideal. It's not an excuse, but it does put you under some pressure. I think 1 you can handle, 2 becomes really quite difficult. And then to come from behind and the rub of the green not going your way, I thought it was full of merit.
Just to reiterate, to check, you said you thought Mzungu would come up for the game against Geelong?
Would or wouldn't?
Would.
I didn't say that. I said he's got a low-grade hamstring. Yeah.
Playing on a Thursday night with a couple of extra days before meetings on potentially worked pretty well for you as far as getting players up that might have niggles?
Well, I said we're all fine. I think it clearly helps Matthew. Won't help Tendai. And our reserves play on Saturday. So, look, it's always good to have a little bit longer to prepare, in theory. But, yeah, it's a good opportunity for us to sort of gather ourselves and train hard. Yeah, we won't be breathing out here. We need to improve. We'll train hard. And that was the message to the players after the game. We need to improve, we need to train well, and we need to get back to our very best football.
How much confidence do you have behind a skill given what you did there last year and how well you played against Geelong recently?
I think it's irrelevant. Where we're at last year to this year's poles apart. I think it's... And I always talk, past results don't count for the next one. That's really important for us, that we stay in the moment and we continue to prepare and try and improve when we need to improve. That's a pretty simple message. Thanks, guys.